Fiancée went upstairs with a guy in a club during her road trip with her friends. She and her family say she stopped before anything happened, but at least for me, it feels like cheating. My fiancée and I, we are both 32, and she went on a road trip with her friends. I met all the friends she went with and am pretty good friends with some of them. During this road trip, she called me just to let me know everything was fine and that she and her friends would go to a club. The next day in the morning, my fiancé's friend Stephanie called me and told me she saw my fiancé go upstairs with a guy. According to her, she had been to this club before and there is a hookup spot upstairs. This is what she told me. After 5 to 10 minutes, my fiancé came down, and when she asked her what was going on, my fiancé said nothing. So, Stephanie got suspicious and went upstairs and saw the guy absolutely wasted. After this call with Stephanie ended, I called my fiancée and asked her about it. She told me she was drunk and messed up, but nothing happened and she got out of the situation as soon as she realized what was happening. To me, it categorizes as cheating, and on that phone call, I told her I was breaking up with her. I didn't really listen to her after this and hung up. The same day, but later, her family came over because my fiancé called them and explained her side of the story to them. They acknowledged that what she did was messed up, but since she stopped, this is salvageable and I should not throw away 10 years like that. The only reason I'm thinking about it is that they were genuinely comforting, aware, and not at all intimidating. Stephanie called me at night again and told me that my fiancé is extremely mad at her and trying to get her kicked out of the group for being a snitch. I think Stephanie did me a solid here, and I am grateful to her even though she is her friend first, she told me. Right now, I don't know if I should dump her or not. The point where she did everything seems like cheating to me. The act itself is just an artifact, and the things leading up to it are just as important. I know for a fact that I cannot trust her. Even if there is some trust left, it is not enough to be engaged to her, let alone getting married to her in January of next year. She messaged me saying that I'm making it a bigger deal than it is, and that I should be grateful that she is this aware even when drunk to not cheat on me. Getting drunk is a effing choice, and I'll not really take it as an excuse. She is on her way back, and I don't know if I should just end it or try to work it out. Any advice? Best comments. She wasn't going to tell you. Her friend did you a solid, and now she's mad at her friend because there is probably more that no one knows but her. I'm sure she told her family the PG story. Based on what your friend told you, your fiancé went up those stairs with full intentions of doing something. If your friend went up after your fiancé came down and the guy was passed out, your fiancé didn't stop it. The guy's inability to stay conscious stopped it. This exactly, the only reason she stopped is because the guy is passed out, not because she was aware even when drunk. Why do you guys even think they didn't have sex? She came down 5 to 10 minutes later, despite how dudes brag. That's pretty par the course for how long this stuff may last, especially if he was drunk. They could perfectly had drunk sex and the guy blacked out after the act. This right here, OP. Trust your gut. If this is a deal breaker for you, then that's what it is. Don't let pressure from outsiders influence you. You know what your boundaries are. What happens 10 years from now when she tells you the full story, but you also have kids to worry about? And of course, her family will try to do damage control. Don't fall for it and end it. You deserve better. Update number 1. One day after the first post. I did some thinking last night. Even though I made a post, it was more to validate what I already know. Maybe because I was scared to be breaking off a long-term relationship. After thinking about it and the events that happened afterward, I feel like I'm making the best choice for myself. I talked to both my ex-fiancée and Stephanie, and it solidified my initial response of breaking up. This morning when I and my ex were on the phone, she was convinced that I was being unreasonable and my motive was to ruin her road trip. This tone persisted throughout the conversation. I still listened to her, and she admitted she effed her up, but it was not her fault. She just got drunk too much, so I can't really be mad at her. She also repeated that she stopped it even when drunk, so she's actually very faithful. When I asked her about the dude and his state, she never answered me. She also really didn't answer when I asked her what she was doing with someone who was passed out. In my mind, she being unable to answer these fact-based questions means she didn't get her story straight and think it all the way through. Last time when we spoke, she told me we can talk about it in detail when she comes back, which did indicate to me she was trying to fix it, but when I asked her today if she was on her way back, she said she will come back in 3 weeks and then we can talk about it, and that I misunderstood her. F that. This kinda sealed the deal for me. There was no mention of Stephanie in this conversation. After that phone call, I talked to Stephanie. My ex and her group moved forward with the road trip without her and didn't even tell her. She found out today when she woke up that all others had left. Kinda F up in my opinion. I also asked her about the incident, and she told me that she made everyone aware of the hookup spot beforehand, so my fiancé knew what she was doing. Right now, I have many things going well for me, including my career. I work for a major airline and got into a high-level management position right before coronavirus. I don't want stuff like this holding me back, so cutting it off entirely seems like the way to go. Also, this is actually good for both of us. I can be in a proper relationship, and she can go to hookup spots, stalk wasted dudes, and not do anything. Looks like a win-win to me. The funny thing is, at the very start, I wanted an open relationship, and she shut it down. But years later, when in a monogamous relationship, she wants to pull shit like this. I have managed to get Stephanie a ticket to return home so she can get there comfortably and safely. In the afternoon, after her flight, she came over to talk about everything. I told her I was fine and thanked her for doing me a solid. 1.5 to 2 hours in, my ex sent me a message of Stephanie's Snapchat location map and asked me what she was doing in our home. I told her she just came over to check if I was doing fine because to most people, infidelity is a big deal, and I also corrected her that it was my home and that she would move out when she gets back. Now I just have to focus on myself for now and wait and see if I live to regret this decision. Best comments. Congratulations for standing up for yourself. If she and the relationship were worth fighting to repair, she would have prioritized that and would have come straight home to try and repair it. The pattern of truth creep is worrisome. 1. Nothing happened. 2. Something happened, but it wasn't bad. 3. Something bad happened, but it wasn't my fault. 4. It was my fault that something bad happened, but you must forgive me. 5. You and Stephanie are the real villains in my creeping quasi-confession. Don't second-guess yourself. This was cheating. Just make sure you pack her things in garbage plastic bags and drop at her parents' house. Make sure you change the lock. This shit isn't over for her. I need to give her notice for at least 14 days. After that, she is her parents' problem. Perfect timing. Just in time for her to return for her road trip. Give her notice now. The fact she abandoned her friend and prioritized the rest of the road trip, hoeing it up with her girlfriends over you, tells you everything you needed to know. She has her priorities straight, and now I have mine.